Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, your mind just won't stay still? Have you ever opened a book only to realize minutes later that you remember nothing you just read? And have you ever wondered if the real problem was never your ability, but simply your focus? In a quiet American town nestled between rolling green hills and long country roads, there lived a boy named Lucas Bennett. Lucas was not unusual in any obvious way. He laughed with friends during recess. He enjoyed watching birds glide across the pale blue sky. On warm afternoons, he loved lying on the grass and imagining shapes in the clouds drifting slowly above him. From the outside, Lucas seemed like any other boy his age. But inside the classroom, things were very different. No matter how hard Lucas tried, studying always felt like trying to hold water in his hands. The words blurred together. His thoughts wandered. His memory failed him at the worst moments. While other students raised their hands with confidence, Lucas often stared quietly at his desk, hoping the teacher wouldn't call his name. Over time, the small failures began to pile up. A missed answer here, a forgotten lesson there. A few quiet laughs from classmates who didn't mean to be cruel, but still were. Little by little, Lucas began to believe something painful. Maybe he just wasn't smart enough. One afternoon, after the final school bell echoed through the emptying hallways, Lucas lingered near the doorway of his classroom. His feet felt strangely heavy, as if each step required extra courage. Inside, his philosophy teacher, Mr. Whitmore, was calmly arranging a stack of papers on his desk. Mr. Whitmore was known throughout the school for his gentle voice and patient eyes. He was the kind of teacher who never rushed his words and never raised his tone. Lucas swallowed nervously and stepped forward. "Sir, may I talk to you for a moment?" Mr. Whitmore looked up and smiled warmly. "Of course, Lucas, come sit." Lucas lowered himself into the chair across from the teacher's desk. For a few seconds he said nothing. His fingers twisted together in his lap. Finally, in a quiet, uncertain voice, he spoke. "Sir, I try to study, I really do, but I can't focus. I forget things so quickly. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm just not meant to be good at this." Mr. Whitmore did not interrupt. He simply listened. When Lucas finished, the teacher leaned back slightly and folded his hands. "Lucas," he said gently, "what you are experiencing is far more common than you think. Many capable minds struggle, not because they lack intelligence, but because they have never been taught how to guide their attention." Lucas looked up, surprised. Mr. Whitmore's eyes softened. "If you are willing," he continued, "I would like to share 5 quiet lessons with you. They are simple, but very powerful. And if you practice them patiently, they can change the way you learn, and perhaps even the way you live." Lucas nodded quickly. "I'm willing, sir." Mr. Whitmore reached into his desk drawer and carefully placed a clear glass jar filled with cloudy, muddy water on the table between them. "Tell me what you see," the teacher said. Lucas leaned forward. "It's dirty water, sir." Mr. Whitmore smiled faintly. "Let's give it a little time." They sat in silence. The classroom grew very still. Outside, the distant sound of students faded into the afternoon breeze. After several quiet minutes, something subtle began to happen. The heavy dirt inside the jar slowly drifted downward, settling gently at the bottom. The water above it began to clear. Mr. Whitmore gestured toward the jar. "And now, Lucas?" Lucas's eyes widened slightly. "It's clear now." The teacher nodded. "Our minds work the same way. When they are constantly stirred by worry, fear, and endless distraction, everything inside becomes cloudy. We try to study, but nothing feels clear." He paused, letting the thoughts settle. But when we allow the mind to become still, clarity returns on its own. Lucas listened carefully. "Before you begin studying each day, Mr. Whitmore continued softly. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Let your thoughts settle like the dirt in this jar. Lucas nodded slowly. For the first time in weeks, something inside him felt slightly hopeful. Mr. Whitmore then reached into his desk again and placed a small candle on the table. With a gentle click, he lit the wick. A steady golden flame flickered to life. "This," the teacher said, "is your second lesson." He leaned forward slightly. "Keep your eyes on the flame, and for the next minute, do nothing else but watch." Lucas focused. At first, his thoughts bounced everywhere. Homework, tomorrow's test, the laughter of classmates. But each time his mind wandered, he quietly pulled it back to the small dancing flame. After a minute, Mr. Whitmore spoke again. "Did you notice how your mind kept drifting?" Lucas nodded. "Yes, sir." "That is perfectly normal," the teacher said kindly. "The past pulls at us, the future worries us, but learning only happens in one place." He tapped the desk gently. "The present moment." Lucas breathed in slowly. "When you study," Mr. Whitmore continued, "your job is simple. When the mind wanders, gently bring it back, again and again, not with frustration, with patience." Lucas felt something shift inside his chest. Maybe focus wasn't about force, maybe it was about practice. For the third lesson, Mr. Whitmore placed 2 objects on the desk, a soft yellow sponge and a small grey stone. Without speaking, he poured a little water over both. The sponge quickly absorbed the water. The stone remained unchanged. "Many students," Mr. Whitmore said quietly, "try to memorize everything. They read the words, but they do not truly understand them. Their minds become like this stone." Lucas watched closely. "But students who ask questions, who imagine, who connect ideas, their minds become like the sponge. They absorb." Lucas leaned forward slightly. "So, I shouldn't just try to remember the words." Mr. Whitmore smiled. "Exactly. Always ask yourself, do I truly understand this? Can I explain it in my own words?" Lucas nodded, committing the thought to memory. Next, Mr. Whitmore brought out a thick wooden stick and placed it in Lucas's hands. "Break it," he said. Lucas tried. The wood did not budge. With calm patience, the teacher took the stick back and snapped it cleanly into several smaller pieces. He handed one piece back to Lucas. "Now try." This time the wood broke easily. Lucas blinked in surprise. "Big tasks feel overwhelming," Mr. Whitmore explained. "But when you break them into small, manageable pieces, they become possible." Lucas exhaled slowly. This he could understand. Finally, for the 5th lesson, Mr. Whitmore walked Lucas to the classroom window where 2 small plant pots sat side by side. One held a small, healthy green sprout. The other was dry and empty. "I planted seeds in both," the teacher said quietly, "but I watered only one a little each day." Lucas studied the difference. "Consistency," Mr. Whitmore said gently, "is more powerful than intensity. 20 focused minutes every day will take you further than 3 hours once in a while." The late afternoon sun filtered softly through the window. Lucas stood very still. For the first time, studying did not feel impossible. It felt learnable. That evening, Lucas went home and tried the first lesson. 5 quiet minutes, just breathing. The next day, he practiced focusing on one small task at a time. When he studied, he asked questions instead of rushing to memorize. He broke large assignments into smaller steps. And each day, even when progress felt slow, he practiced. The first week, nothing dramatic happened. The second week, his mind wandered a little less. By the third week, something surprising occurred. He began to understand, not perfectly, not instantly, but steadily. The fear that once sat heavily in his chest began to loosen its grip. Months passed. Lucas's grades improved, not because he suddenly became a genius, but because he finally learned how to work with his mind instead of fighting against it. More importantly, something deeper had changed. He no longer saw himself as the boy who couldn't focus. He saw himself as someone who was learning, step by step. Years later, Lucas Bennett would become known as a thoughtful and disciplined young man. Teachers respected his persistence. Friends admired his calm confidence. But whenever someone asked him what changed his life, he always remembered that quiet afternoon in an empty classroom, not because of magic, not because of luck, but because one patient teacher showed him something powerful. Focus is a skill, clarity is a habit, and small, consistent effort can quietly reshape an entire future. So if you ever feel distracted, overwhelmed, or discouraged in your own journey, remember Lucas. Calm your mind. Return to the present. Seek understanding. Break big tasks into small steps. And practice, gently, consistently, every day. Because the focused mind is not something we are born with. It is something we build, one quiet moment at a time. If this story spoke to you, please take a moment to like and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement today. And don't forget to subscribe for more meaningful stories that inspire growth and calm the mind. Thank you so much for spending these quiet moments here. Wishing you steady focus, gentle progress, and success in everything you are building.